I'm Charmaine Jamil, and welcome back to another video. This week, I really wanted to dive into the topic of self-love and self-worth, and knowing why it's so important for you to attain this. When I really think about all of the different messaging that's going on in our society today, because it's moving so fast, there's so many messages about how you should wear your hair and what your waistline needs to be, how much money needs to be in your bank account, and so forth and so forth. And really the message, at least that I receive at this point in my life, is if you don't have these particular things, then you're nothing in life. You're not worthy of anything in life. And I really wanted to create this video to counteract that thought and really encourage you to really put up a fight for your self-love and building your self-love and knowing your self-worth. And so I really want to answer this question through the video: why is self-love so important? For me, I think self-love is so important because it really is the root of a lot of things that flow from you. Because it really does drive the idea of these three things. It drives the idea of what you may think that you deserve in life. It drives the idea of your willingness to actually go out there and create a better quality of life for yourself. But it also drives your acceptance, what you're willing to accept, the treatment that you're willing to accept from people. Without a shadow of a doubt, the clearest memory to me is when I figured out why self-love is so important. And I've shared this story in another video before. As a matter of fact, I'll pop that video up there so you can kind of hear a little bit more details of the story. But when I was 19 years old, that's when I considered that I went through my first really huge breakup as far as a relationship was concerned. And although that relationship ended where I thought that I was the only person in my boyfriend at the time in his life, of course at 19 I was not. And what ended up happening was that I allowed myself to react to that whole breakup really in a way that I just kind of let my guard down and let my control go. And the thing about it is, after I started talking with my then boyfriend at the time at 19, he really kind of set me down. And I think for him, he thought, I know I'm never going to speak to Charmaine again, but I want to leave her with this golden tip. And he did. And I never forgot it. But essentially what he said was, he said, Charmaine, there are people in life that you're going to meet that really don't care about you, and they may care about you. He said they may, okay, not fully care about you. And he said, really what your job is in life is to go through life, and once you encounter these people, really figure out what you don't want, what you do want, what you're going to tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate. Now, this is the person, quote unquote, that had been cheating on me, giving me all this game. And although I thought he was a trash bag at the time, I never forgot what he said, and that really imprinted on me as I moved out through life. Now, I'll be 40 in about 3 months, and I'm still sitting here telling you that golden game right now, because essentially that's what it did. It helped me to understand that's why self-love is so important, because if you don't love yourself, and if you don't know that you are worthy of all good things that life has to offer you, then people are going to give you their worst until you show them that you love yourself and you teach them how to treat you. So here are my 3 tips to help you how to find self-love and self-worth. So tip number 1 is build your own roadmap to self-love. Tip number 2, never question your worth. And tip number 3, you are in charge. So the first tip of build your own roadmap to self-love is really important, because as you're viewing this video, there are various age ranges. You might be in your 20s, 30s, and it really just kind of depends on what walk of life you were in and how you're looking through the lens of self-love. But what I will say is, self-love is one of the most important things that you can attain throughout this lifetime, because that is what's going to protect you, give you discernment, and really teach you the power of saying no and teaching people how to treat you. And so when I'm saying build your own roadmap to self-love, a lot of times, depending on your age or your experience or what you have allowed people to ingrain in you, you may always kind of think, well, I'm too old to, think about I'm too out of the game to try to figure out what self-love is. And let me tell you, that's just simply not true. So in order to start building this roadmap of what self-love is specifically to you, the first thing that I would tell you to do is write out a list and answer this one question. What have you overcome? And I really want you to think about this, because it doesn't necessarily have to be this really detailed list of, oh, I've conquered getting my bachelor's degree or getting my associate's degree. That's not what I'm talking about. You are the only one who can judge what success means to you and what you have overcome. So if it is something as simple as, I got through the day without crying, I got through the day without allowing someone's comments or negative thoughts about me get to me. It can be anything, but I really want you to start writing this list of things that you have overcome. And this list is going to be really important, because that list is going to show you the actual truth on paper on why it's so important for you to stay in the game. You have survived this long. You have air in your lungs. So you deserve any and everything. As long as this world is still spinning on its axis, you have and deserve to be loved. You deserve to have any and everything that your heart desires, as long as you're willing to go out there and get it. So as you're building this list of what you've overcome, essentially what this is going to do is start to build your stamina of how you think about self-love, the activities that you go about in creating self-love, and really experiences and situations that you're going to encounter to show you what self-love and worth is and what it's not. That's really important. So as you're creating this list of what you've overcome, now I want you to start thinking about, how are you going to properly care for yourself and build yourself up? I think a lot of times people think that building a roadmap to self-love or self-worth is all about what you tell yourself. And that is very true, because it is all about what you tell yourself, but it's also about what you prove to yourself. And as you're doing certain activities and putting yourself in certain environments, and the language you say to your environment in that environment is really going to be crucial about building that stamina of self-love and self-worth. So here are a couple of activities that I'd recommend for you to just look through and then create some type of habit or routine in how you're going to care for yourself properly and build yourself up. The more you do these things and see that you have great abilities and have great, talents in certain areas, you're going to prove to yourself that you are worthy. Because when a message comes up that from a person that tells you that you're not, you know without a shadow of a doubt that you've proved to yourself, yes, I do know how to plan an event. Yes, I do know how to create videos or edit videos, or whatever your talent or whatever your experience is, no matter whether it's big or small. The first thing to start doing is proving these small wins to yourself. Because once you start proving these small wins to yourself, anything that counteracts against it, and you're starting to enjoy the company of you and who you are and who you're becoming, you will rid yourself of anything negative or anything that's trying to keep you away from having that really great feeling of self-confidence and boldness in your life. When I'm thinking about certain activities and what I'm wanting to do to really take care of myself properly and build myself up properly to prove things to myself, I really kind of gauge the action through these three things. And the first thing is, I really try to stay away from activities that really leave me exhausted and just really tired. Because if that's the case, in a negative way, because if that's the case, if it's draining, if I'm around someone that's draining, or if, I'm really just not feeling a connection with it, then I just know, okay, Charmaine, I want to make sure that I'm putting my time in areas where I feel invigorated, where I'm learning, where my knowledge point is the needle of my knowledge point is increasing because it's making me a better person. It's changing my perspective, and I'm able to walk into certain experiences and reframe the experience in a positive way. I also think about, is this something I can prove to myself that I am capable, that I do have the ability? As I shared the story with you when I first figured out why it was so important to have self-love, as I started carrying that message on through life, when certain situations, whether it was when I didn't have a job or when I was going through my bout with depression, or anything that when someone else would look in or peer into my life, they would think, oh, she's down in life. She doesn't feel good about herself, or no one who doesn't have a job really can't feel good about themselves. So when they would try me with these negative comments, because as a matter of fact, one of my friends at the time took it upon themselves to let me know that that she was disappointed in me because she thought that I was going to have a better life than what I actually did when we were growing up. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm only 20 something years old. I have my whole life ahead of me to try to figure this out. But what people didn't understand was that I was taking my opportunity for myself to really think and plan out, what is it that you really want? Because I loved myself enough to try, to be willing to try to improve the quality of my life. So they didn't know that I had a much higher self-love and self-worth than what they thought that I did or what I should for the circumstance at the time. But what I learned is that my love for myself, my willingness to know that I was worthy of having a greater quality of life, really kind of overtook any negative situation or any negative thoughts that were communicated to me. And I had enough sense and enough confidence to say, if they can fix their mouth to say this to me, then I know that they don't need to be in my life, because what they feel is my lowest, they are trying to actually pile on some even more crap to that. And if they have that thought about me, I don't need that in my life. And that's how I would kind of calibrate it. I would always just say, okay, well, let me remove this person out of my life, because they don't know the love for myself and my willingness and the stamina that I had to keep going until I found what I wanted in life. And all of that was rooted in my self-love. So tip number 2 is never question your worth. I've already kind of expounded on why you should never question it, because if you do question it, go back and look at your list of the things that you have overcome. If you have a list, at least one thing on that list, you should never question your worth of, do you deserve the very best of what life has to offer you? But if you do feel that you're in a certain situation where you're kind of starting to speak negatively and you're talking negatively to yourself, I want you to try this but so method. And essentially the but so method is going to give you 2 positive things to counteract that one negative thought that you have going on. So for example, you might say, right now I'm just overweight and I just don't feel, beautiful. But I have a willingness to try to change my life, so I'm going to buy some new shoes so I can start walking 30 minutes a day. So you see those 2 positive aspects after the word but and after the word so, because that is what you want to do. You want to always end and counteract those negative thoughts and end on a positive note. So if you ever feel that you're questioning your self-worth, get into the practice of the but so method. The only thing that we should be thinking about is the time that we have left. So if you use that time for the negative thought and questioning whether you're worthy of something, that is taking it away from you. So I go into the 3rd tip. You are in charge. You are the only one who can make changes in your life. Not your mom, not your dad, not your sister, not your brother, not your friend. Nobody. You are the only one who can save you. And I've said that quite a few times, and as long as you're looking at my videos and they're my motivational videos, you will always hear that, because you have to know and believe in yourself and believe in your abilities. That's why it's so important to write that list of things that you've overcome, and then practicing and participating in activities where you can prove to yourself and show yourself that you can do these, whatever it is that you put your mind to. And so I say all of that to say, if you're in charge, don't hang around or be in situations that you don't like. Don't go to events that you don't like. Don't hang around people that you don't like. Because the more you put yourself in these particular situations where you're always going to have this attitude of, I don't like this, I don't like that, then don't do it. Learn the power of saying no. Create the environment that you want to be in, and then watch the language that you have in that environment. I really hope that these 3 tips really help you to create a plan, know that you're in charge, and never question your self-worth and self-love, because you deserve every bit of what life has to offer you. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.